Hello, everyone, and welcome to I'm a Perfectionist to Get Me Out of Here, where we are all allowed to be perfectly imperfect. If any of the things that we talk about resonates with you, then you might want to check out my book, Perfectly Imperfect. It's based on cognitive behavioral therapy principles as a self-help book, and it will help you understand some of the unhelpful beliefs, where they might come from, the emotions, and the behavior connected to those. You can find the link straight to it in the episode description. But without further ado, let's talk to our guest today. Hello, Lori. It's a great pleasure to have you here, and welcome to I'm a Perfectionist, Get Me Out of Here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Why don't we start by your story? Today, we are going to talk about finances.
Yeah.
And so interesting. I saw some of your stuff, and it's about financial freedom and how we can work on getting our financial freedom. And today, of course, we can touch upon how perfectionism can get in the way of that freedom, or you finding that freedom. So, why don't we hear a bit about you first?
Yeah. I think it's financial freedom and it's freedom from anxiety and fear about your finances. And those are two different kinds of freedoms, but both linked to finance for
Yeah.
sure. So I have spent my entire adult life in finance since graduate school. I actually was in London for 5.5 years doing investment banking. Um, And I came back to the US, did various financial roles. I worked in private equity. I was in a startup as a CFO. And then I had my daughter in 2008. And I took a few years off and I was home with her. And I was like, what do I want to do next? And I always wanted to work for myself. That was always important to me. So I thought, okay, well, let me start a business. What do I want to do? And I started making these small, short videos about parenting. This is all kind of, Instagram, all of those things were nascent. It was just the very beginning of all that. I started making these short videos about parenting, how to detangle hair and how to get your kid to eat certain things if they're picky. And I interviewed experts on this stuff. And I was looking at the videos. I'm like, wow, the information is good, but it's a little boring. And so I thought I need to work on the format. It's imperfect. And I was, pushing to get to something that I thought was a little more interesting. And I thought, I can't waste the experts' time by asking them to do it and redo it and redo it. That's just not polite. So I thought, I've got to work on me. So I called everyone I knew. And I said, can I come and give a free financial seminar and videotape myself so that I could see how I would edit the videos, etc. And so I called yoga studios and churches and preschools and anybody who would listen to me. And I did these seminars around my city. And after the second or third seminar, people came up and said, do you take clients? And
No.
so I started to take clients. And I started to take clients kind of as an advisor, as a coach. And then I got regulated by my state and neighboring states. And then I got my CFP and I got regulated nationally. And I took on associates. And now there are 6 of us across the country who do this. And the difference between what we do and what all the other financial advisors do is that we charge by the hour. And so we don't want to manage your assets, and we're not selling you things like insurance products or anything that we get commissions on. We really are just here to give you advice. And so if the basement floods and the contractor says it's going to be $20,000 to give you a French drain, which is what happened to me and my husband, um, we're the ones you can come to help figure out how you're going to finance that.
Oh, that's a big one because those are unexpected things, aren't they? And this journey
Hmm.
is absolutely amazing, going from, you know, mother advice, parenting advice to
Exactly.
the becoming and creating actually fearless finance
It
with,
was serendipitous. I mean, I saw that there might be an opportunity, and I thought, well, let's just pursue it for a minute or two and see if it is anything.
hmm.
And because I was still doing other things.
Yeah. So how how did perfectionism affect this journey?
So it takes a lot when you're a perfectionist, as you all know, to allow yourself to pursue something that's not definite.
Hmm.
In other words, to take a little risk, take a little chance, with my career, which is a big thing, right? My professional life. Um, and it took a lot of internal conversation to be like, this is your opportunity to take this chance, and it may not work out. And I don't like those words because I'm not used to those words. And so there's a lot of internal dialogue to get over. There's always a lot of risk when you start your own business, even if you're not a perfectionist, right? I mean, I think it's a risk-taking move. But when you have that streak of perfectionism, it's a little harder, I think, to take that initial risk.
Yeah, because there is that intolerance of uncertainty, right? I want
Yes,
to be certain. I want to know where this is going to go. I want to know
that's right.
that's definitely going to succeed because if it doesn't succeed, I don't want to do it.
Well,
And
how does it look? We're also worried about how it looks,
yeah,
right? Yeah. So
yeah,
you have to kind of try talk yourself into getting over that to start your own business and to take that chance. Uh, because most small businesses fail.
yeah, 90% I
Oh,
heard.
yes. And it's a much smaller percent that make it after 5 years, or I don't even know what the stat is, but and it's less than 1% that make it to $1 million of revenue per year. At least in America, that's the case.
Yeah. So
It's
your
tiny.
clients, very tiny.
Yeah.
So I guess I should be quite happy that I still made it after 11 years now.
Yes, you should be very happy. Yes, and proud.
Yes. So your clients, what kind of clients do you normally get? Are they from
So our
all walks of life or?
they're typically people who felt intimidated going to one of the big guys for financial advice and knew that going to a brokerage house was a little scammy, a little used car dealershipy, and they didn't know where to turn. If they didn't have a savvy relative or an accountant that had social skills, and was able to and was willing to talk to them about finance stuff, they didn't have anywhere to go. And we're in the age of information now. There's plenty of information all around the web, right? But when it comes to your money, it's so critical that you want someone to confirm that you're doing it right.
That's the thing, isn't it?
It's the age of confirmation, not information.
And again is about I want to make sure that I do the right thing with my money. And do you, which then again is the reassurance seeking with
Goes right back to that. It goes right back to that. Yes, that's right.
and intolerance of risk taking.
Hmm.
How do you handle that? And how do you help your clients to be able to either take the risks or tolerate that uncertainty?
It's interesting. Sometimes just being a third party voice can help, right? With some initials behind your name. And sometimes that assurance just helps. But in general, I like to honor a person's risk appetite. If they have very little risk appetite, I want to work with them on, especially when it comes to investing. I
Mm.
want to work with them on that, but they need to, in my opinion, I feel like they need to know what all the scenarios are. So I had a woman just yesterday, and she has very complex circumstances, but she's like, no, I want all my savings to just be in cash. I'm nervous. I'm too nervous, too nervous. And I said, I get that, except that you won't have any growth other than whatever interest rate you're getting. And if we want your money to grow for these other goals that she had, we need to take a little bit of risk. And that means we need to tolerate the ups and downs of the market. And that's not easy.
And I guess it's not, I can resonate with that.
Mhm.
That I guess
Most
it's
people
not
can.
easy when when you have been working and maybe you've got some savings, and then you
Right.
think about, well, the market goes up and down, and this company might go up and down. And what if I lose the money that I've been working so hard for?
Yeah. And so most of the times, or a lot of the times, educating them on how the market works is super helpful.
Hmm.
So, you know, if you follow our recommendations, we're what is called technically passive investors, and we like in the UK, you guys call them trackers. We call them index funds here. Um, and I try to help people understand that, there's never, because sometimes people think it could go to zero. It could all go to zero,
Yes.
but
Yes.
it's never gone to zero, ever, right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and so I try to show them that even with some of the ups and downs that everybody remembers, right? The 2008 recession, the COVID shutdown, even all the way back to 1929, if you want to go back that far, you're you can see that even though the market goes down slightly, it comes back up relatively quickly, 3 years, 4 years in the worst situations.
So, in the long run, if you put your money somewhere relatively safe, and of course, we would know
Relatively
that.
well diversified is
Yeah.
what I would say.
We would
Yes.
know that, and that's why it's good to have an expert. But put it there and then leave it there.
And then leave it there and try not to look at it, right? And the thing is that there's lots of academic research on this. There are lots of people in business schools doing lots and lots of academic research about the markets. But one of the overarching findings is that an investor is better off being in the market, in the equities market, than not being in it, even through the bumps. And so
Long time, long term.
yeah, over the long term, which is what we all are, right? I mean, if you're saying, hey, I've got $100 and I want to make some money on it and I'm going to use it in 3 months, I would say put it in a bank, in a high yield savings account and take it out when you're ready to use it. But if you have decades, somebody's 42 years old and they're going to retire at whatever, 62, 63, whatever, that's a long time.
Mm.
So let's get that money working for you. But that's the same with general goals. Like maybe you want to buy a house. Maybe you want to, I keep going back to the basement. Maybe you want to refurbish a basement, or maybe you have a grand trip that you want, or you have an elderly relative that needs help, or whatever it is, or a kid who has special needs. You know, we want to think about your time horizon. We want to think about how much risk you're willing to take and how to put money aside for those goals. And the perfectionist thing is, well, I need this exact amount. And I'm here to nudge you and say, you don't. Let's not throw the good out with the how's that phrase go? Let's not throw the good out with the perfect.
Yeah, as they say in the UK, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yes, that's right. That
Yeah.
is right.
So when you are two things here, I guess. So it means that your age matters. And how
Your
about
time horizon matters. Yeah.
how about you put your investment and you forget about it, or do you actually invest monthly? Is that
Well,
which?
it depends on your situation. It depends on your situation. The UK is very different. In the US, we all are on our own basically for retirement, other than Social Security. And so we want to encourage people to begin putting money away as early as they can into whatever plan they have available to them. For general savings, it's always good to be in the habit of saving on a monthly or weekly, if that suits you better, weekly basis. Um, but again, returning to the idea of perfectionism, sometimes if we have that perfectionist streak, we struggle with the idea that, well, this month, because my child needed whatever, I can't do that savings. It's hard to break that habit when you have that perfectionist streak. And so, what we want people to recognize is that we want to have good habits in place. We want to mostly execute on those good habits, but we also have to be ready when something is different, when life throws a curveball. And that can be difficult when somebody is a perfectionist.
Yeah, and how do you do that? How do you get prepared when something, when life throws you a curveball?
So, the critical thing financially, in my opinion, is that you have enough saved, socked away, whatever, to handle both what I call rainy day things, car repairs, dental work, a pipe bursting, whatever it is,
Hmm.
and emergencies, which are a total loss of income. And a total loss of income usually happens from one of three things: job loss, obviously, divorce, and some sort of health or physical challenge that is making it impossible for you to work.
Mm.
And that's an emergency. That's a total loss of income. Whereas we all have the oopsies and the rainy day things, right? There's always, some gutter that collapses in the front yard, some whatever. And financially they're different. And
Okay.
so if you have money set aside for those things, you can better handle the ups and downs of life.
Yeah. So when you get perfectionist clients, or even when you get perhaps some anxious clients about
They're
what's going to
usually one
happen,
and the same. Yeah.
yeah, with their money, and whether they're going to lose it or whether they're willing or unwilling to take the risk. How do you find yourself? How does that affect you in terms of choosing the type of investment, or maybe reassuring them? Do you find yourself in a way doing extra reassurance for those
Extra
clients?
reassurance, exactly. I mean, one incident comes to mind when you just framed that question, which was in a couple. Sometimes people have most of the time, people have different money habits, right? They come from different first families, they have different experiences, maybe they earn different amounts, whatever it is, it's different. And yet you're intimate with this person, you share your life with this person. And so you can have somebody who's like, okay, I want to have $50,000 as my emergency savings. And then you have this other person who's like, I think we need 80. And even though a compromise would make the obvious sense to everybody, it's difficult to bring that person who's perfectionist, who's maybe even slightly obsessive about things, to bring that person down off of the number that's in their mind, right? Numbers are very difficult to chisel away at with people. And um, a lot of times having a third party involved saying, look, this is what it will look like if you had 65,000 instead of 80. This is what you can use that extra money for. Maybe it's some other goal. Maybe it's a big trip. Maybe it's a new car, whatever it is. And so plotting out scenarios, showing people what it can look like is helpful
Hmm.
because sometimes people can't get there, especially people who are not naturally numbers oriented. Yeah.
And actually, that brings me to something from your upbringing. You mentioned people have different backgrounds. And I think that with your upbringing, there were some different money beliefs in your family,
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
right? And that's, as far as I understand, that's your story that brought you to where you are now.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us about that so that people who might think, you know what, I don't understand money, I don't understand investments, it's not, I just want to know what I have every month and my outgoing,
Right.
that's it. Um, and it would be interesting to hear your story here
Sure.
for us who think we are not, very much understanding of how money works.
So first, let me say that I definitely believe that for a lot of people, what they are most obsessed about is what they end up doing in their career. And I grew up with no money. I grew up being worried about my parents making rent, and I grew up being worried about where our next meal was coming from and all of those things. And it definitely left its mark on me. And I have a brother who grew up in the same family, but he doesn't have the same, he just didn't have the same disposition as I. And so I was always, always worried. Did I have enough money? Was I making enough money? Was I doing the right thing with my money? You know, what could I do more? Whatever it was.
And what if I don't have any?
And yeah, and it was a gravitational pull to finance. I don't know what else I would have done with my career. And I just was obsessed. I liked being in banking. I liked talking about money. I liked learning about, deal structures and this was banking. These were big company, not personal finance, right? And I just was somebody who cared a lot about that. And I carry that with me everywhere. And because I'm a pretty empathetic person, so if you sat down in front of me as my client, I'm feeling with you your stress about whatever it is, like, my child needs a school for his special needs and I don't know how we're going to pay for it and so I'm busily trying like a puzzle trying to figure out how am I going to get you where you need to go?
Yes,
And that's super fulfilling for me.
I saw that actually. I understand that your background coming from no money, not knowing where the next meal is going to come from. It could have gone different ways, as you said.
Right.
It could have gone, money is bad. It makes people
Or
upset.
like
Or
avoidance, total
exactly.
avoidance. Yeah.
And for you, it worked the other way. You said, I just want it because not having it makes people
I
unhappy.
want it. I want to talk about it. I want to learn about it. I want to be in it. I want to be in fine. It was like that. It was like a gravitational pull. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And and people can feel safe with you because you know exactly where they are. You've been there.
I have been there. Yes. And some.
Yeah.
Probably and some. Yeah.
Is there anything that we didn't cover that you think that especially perfectionists who might feel anxious about
Yeah. There are a
what to
couple
do with their
things.
money that you might give advice about?
So here's what I want to say, and I hope people really hear me on this because it's easy to not hear me on this. The most important thing for your personal finances is your happiness, period. If you are discontented, I don't mean your momentary happiness with an ice cream cone. I mean your general overall contentedness. If you're unhappy with your body shape, you're unhappy with your house, you're unhappy with your relationships, you're unhappy with your job, it will come out in your finances. You're going to be self-medicating, you're going to be buying, you're going to be looking for that jolt of dopamine because you're unhappy as a baseline. Unhappiness is extraordinarily expensive. And so I urge, sorry,
Wow.
yeah, I
Never
urge
connected
people.
that. Yeah.
Oh, it's so clear. Once you start taking clients and seeing it, it's so crystal clear. For perfectionists, it's hard, it's that much harder to say, I don't like this well-paying job. Really, what I want to do is be a beekeeper. How do I make that leap? I'm telling you to make the leap, get advice so that you know how to make the leap, how much you have to have saved, how much, how you're going to go about it. But get that, whatever that gap in your life is, get it filled because it's going to help your finances. Chances are it's going to help your health too, but that's not my gig.
And
But yeah,
and fulfillment.
right,
Just feeling more fulfilled with your life. And
right.
and it is, I think this is very important what you just said regarding how you can plan out for them the way and the steps that they
To
can take
implement.
if they want, yes, that if they want to leave their jobs, their 9 to 5, where
Yep.
they are possibly not happy and they are longing to become a beekeeper, but they
Hmm.
just don't know how to make that loop. I
That's
have to pay
exactly right.
mortgage, I have to pay rent, I have a family, I have children,
That's right.
and then life just happens.
Or maybe it's just discussing it with your partner. Your partner thinks that you're going to be a school teacher for the rest of your life, and that's kind of what he or she is counting on. And suddenly you're like, I want to be this other thing. Sometimes that's a hard conversation.
Hmm. That will
And
also
so,
make your partner possibly a bit anxious or nervous as
oh,
well, right?
reasonably so.
Yeah.
And that's where a third party can help, and having a plan can help. And if you want to have a plan, it's best that you make sure that you're paying this person by the hour so that you know that you're not getting sold a bunch of stuff you don't need and your best interests are being put ahead of that person's. And hopefully that person can take you through scenarios, put your mind as much at ease as you'll let them put your mind at ease, and you can make some great decisions and make some changes that are going to increase your fulfillment in life. That's what it's about.
And this might sound, a little of a silly question perhaps, but the elephant in the room, would you need to have a lot of money to start investing?
No is the answer. And that's not, by the way, that is not a silly question at all. Not at all. That's not a silly question. Um, you start with what you have, right? And so if you're somebody who's putting away $100 a month in your savings, once you have your emergency savings and your oopsies or your rainy day savings, and as long as there's no other, what I call a call to cash, like I have to replace my car or the basement needs whatever, again, I'm on the basement. Um, the basement needs something. As long as you have the cash you need for whatever your calls to cash are, you should begin investing for gain. And the younger you are, the better off you will be. The younger you start, I should say.
Hmm.
So, you know, a discount brokerage is happy to open up an account for you when you have $100. Just get started because the 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 wealthier the how do I want to say this? Wealth growth is about time and time horizon. So the earlier you start and the more time you have, right? Because everything's a bell curve, right? The arc of your savings, it's just greater. So the earlier you can start, even with just whatever it is every month, the better off you're going to be. Please don't look for perfection. Please don't look for several thousand. I need my net worth to be X in order to be considered an investor. No.
And in the long run, it will pay off.
Definitely it will pay off. Yes.
Yeah. And what if you are in your late 50s or
Yeah.
approaching your 60s? Is that too late to?
Never too late. It's never too late. It's never too late. And some of that has to do with what I just said, which is that arc, right, of savings. It's our friend compounding, so without getting too into the math, because some
Yeah.
people get turned off by that, you know, when your savings is growing, the earlier you put it away, the greater your savings will be. But the same goes if you focus on other things in your life and you're 55 and you're saying, "Oh my gosh, I need to have more savings." Start that day, because chances are you still have several decades of life, God willing, and you're going to get that same arc, that same time value of money effect.
Hmm.
So start whatever day today is.
Okay. Well, that's a great advice, actually. Thank you
Yep.
so much. Thank you so much for your time today, Lori.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun talking.
Thank you for joining us in I'm a Perfectionist, Get Me Out of Here podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please do leave stars and a review. Help me spread the word by sharing this with your friends and family. My practical manual, Transformation Through the Power of Quotes, will help you or someone you know get through tough times and feel happier. It is now available on Amazon paperback and Kindle. You can also check out our website, mindandmood.co.uk. Thank you again, and remember, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. Bye for now.